I want to bring on, I've invited the first vice chair of the Ada County Republican Central Committee. Ryan Spoon is here. What did I get
Yes,
that right? Is that the right title?
that is, yeah. Most every county has a chair and a vice chair. Ada County is just a little larger than most with 197 PC slots. So we decided to have three vice chairs to help lighten the load a little bit.
Fantastic. Okay, so we just had Dorothy Moon on talk about the caucus from her vantage point as a chairwoman. What is it looking like for Ada County? How are you guys preparing for the caucus on March 2nd?
Yeah. So it's really left up to the legislative districts. The county and the region are assisting. But primarily, we are just coordinating between the 11 legislative districts that lie either wholly or partially within Ada County. The district chairs are doing a great job. They report back every month on their progress. And for my own District 20 that I live in, I coordinate closely with my chair, and we have our caucus going on the entire district at one location at Capitol Church. And progress is going ahead.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, so I wanted to have you on primarily to show people, what the process is to get involved in their party, because a lot of people, not to disparage some, but there are folks that like to sit in the back benches and think that they can call the shots better. And if they can, and some do, because there's a lot of great ideas out there. One of the ways they can step up to do that is to join their central committee, where they have a voice
Yeah.
in how the party operates and so forth. So can you walk us through how you got involved in your local party, and what you see on the ground there with the grassroots part of your party?
Sure. My involvement was somewhat gradual until COVID. And then, like many of us, I really got woken up by the craziness that went on during COVID. So I became a lot more involved. Um, Briefly ran for office, or nonpartisan office, for the community college down here, and found out how much the liberals control those nonpartisan positions. And then I saw a lot of problems in the local party as I was running for office. I said, all right, we got to fix this first, because we can't win on the front lines if we've got people undercutting us behind our back. And so that was when I really got involved, was late in 2022. And within less than a year, we chased off the rhinos that were running the show. And we now have all conservatives in charge of the local party, and things are moving ahead. You may have heard of things like our recent censure or statement of disapproval of the Senate Pro Tem Chuck Winder. And I think you're going to see more actions like that, because conservatives are running the show now.
Yeah, and so if there are folks, I mean, have you encountered folks coming up to you and simply not understanding how a central committee works and what your role is in the community?
Absolutely. There's a lot of misunderstanding. And my favorite way to explain it to them is to show it to them. I say, come to our meetings. We have our central committee meeting the first Thursday of every month at the Ada County Courthouse in the commissioner's meeting room. It's open to the public. I invite everyone to come and see. We're not hiding anything. And we want people to get involved. You see a lot of organizational charts, and they'll start with precinct committeemen as the lowest level on how the political structure works. I'd go farther than that. I'd say, let's start with just volunteers. You don't need a title to get involved. Volunteer. And then let those volunteers percolate up to block captains. And I use the biblical model, where in the Old Testament talked about people being put in charge of hundreds and tens. I would like to see a volunteer that coordinates with every 10 Republican homes. And if we could get to that goal, that would be fantastic. But volunteers, block captains, then precinct committeemen. A precinct committeeman is going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 to 900 Republican homes, depending on how conservative of a precinct it is. And that's a lot of people to talk to. So we need help all the way down.
Yes, absolutely. Are there any big issues on the table right now that you guys are focused on within your committee within your area? We had Dale Hawkins on earlier today talking about ranked choice voting and the open primary initiative, and I know that there are a lot of conservatives and the Republican Party as a whole is opposed to that. But there's definitely some crossover and some rumblings, within the party about that particular initiative. What is your committee doing?
We're working in anti-ranked choice voting into all of our door knocking, all of our outreach efforts on every issue. So if that comes up, regardless of the setting, we are adamantly opposed to rigged choice voting. It is very inappropriately named. They call it open primaries. It's nothing of the sort. It's a blanket primary or a jungle primary. And it's not ranked choice voting, it's rigged choice voting. There's everything from throwing out votes to confusing ballots to being easier to commit ballot fraud, you name it, up and down the line. Rigged choice voting and jungle primaries are bad for Idaho, and we are working against that open primaries initiative, the jungle primaries initiative, in all of our outreach efforts.
Excellent. Um, you're down in Ada County. That's also where the Capitol building is and the State House. So you guys got a little bit more of a touch on what's happening moment to moment than some of us up here in the north. But anything excite you about this year? Any bills that you maybe personally are looking at or championing and wanting to see the party succeed in?
Absolutely. The one that I'm most immediately excited about in the past 24 hours is the resurrection of the Child Safe Protection Act, or the Anti-Porn in Libraries Act, brought forward by Representative Jaron Crane. And one of the major votes in the House that upheld the governor's veto was one of our representatives here in Ada County. And the party was silent as they went against conservative values. They went against the Republican Party platform, and we had different leadership at the time. And they just enabled and coddled these supposedly Republican legislators that vote liberal. And we're not going to tolerate that anymore. And I think that you're going to see, if any Ada County Republican legislator votes in favor of keeping porn in libraries, you can expect some very strong condemnation, maybe outright censure of those representatives.
Got it. Okay. Well, before I ask you how people can get involved, I want to point out what is that flag or banner that you have behind you?
Yeah, behind me here is the family flag. This promotes the traditional nuclear family. God's design for the traditional nuclear family, one man, one woman, plus their children, is the bedrock for everything that is successful about Western society and the world as a whole. Every time that humans have thrived, it has been built around the traditional nuclear family. Liberals love to shout and shove our faces in what they're proud about. That's fine. I think that's not a terrible idea. I'm going to go tell people what I'm proud about. And I'm proud about the nuclear family, the traditional family, and our conservative family values.
All right. Well, fantastic. I love that. Okay. How can people get involved, specifically maybe in Ada County? How can they get in touch with you? Where can they find you and volunteer or run for a committee seat? Like how can we get that going?
Yeah, that is really my portfolio within the Ada County Republican Party. Like I said, we have 3 vice chairs. We kind of split the work. And my primary duties are to recruit, train, and organize precinct committeemen within the party and their volunteers that they work with. And so I'm the recruiter. Come to me. I want to get you involved. You can find me on Twitter at Spoon for Idaho. You can email me at ryan.spoon@spoonforidaho.com. You can find me on Facebook. I have a Ryan Spoon for Idaho Facebook page. And there's even, I believe that my phone number is still on my old campaign website from my CWI campaign. Lots of different ways to get in touch with me, or just come to our meeting every first Thursday, every single month, except sometimes in the summer when we take off. But every first Thursday, Ada County Courthouse, 6:30 p.m. Come to the commissioner's meeting room. I'll be there. I'm a rather big guy, so I'm hard to miss. Come shake my hand and let's find out how to save Idaho.
Fantastic. All right, Ryan, thank you so much for taking the time out to come on today. And I look forward to having you back and discussing more of these issues.
Great. Thank you for having me, Matt.